little different start to this one, but I just want to say, yes, there is some orange paint on here. There was a lot more orange paint, but I thought I had prepped it. I cleaned it off with some alcohol. I thought I'd clean it real good. Put some orange lines, and I was going to put some blue accents, and when I masked off to do the blue, I pulled one piece of tape up to move it, and it pulled all the orange right off. So I decided I just took some tape and peeled off what I could of the orange that's there. I'm going to, after this video, I'll figure out a better way to clean up the surface, maybe mask it and then rough it up with some sandpaper, redo the orange paint. This stuff's just what was on the glue, so it stuck a little better. And I taped over the lead edge to keep that. So don't worry about the paint. Nothing to see here, just a little different. It is the same wing that I've been working on, just a few different colors. So today we're going to go ahead and do these push rods. Like I pointed out the last time, these are some Great Plains push rods. I'll have the link below. I got mine off Amazon, I believe. And then I've got these Dubro really strong control horns. So what we'll do is I'm going to cut these down a little bit so they're not quite as big. They've got some screws in there, but we'll go ahead and mount those up on the control or on the Elevons. Cut these down to length, put some Z-bends in them, and we'll get everything working so Elevons are ready to go. First thing we need to do from when I painted this, if you can see the servos are pushed forward, so I need to make sure that those are centered. We're also not glued in just yet, but I want to make sure these are centered so I can get the right length for the control horns. So I'm going to just turn the radio on, and plug a battery in. And they both centered up. I'm going to just move it around a little bit just to make sure they go back to center. And we will go ahead and unplug it. So now I just know that those are centered, so that way I get roughly the right distance. The nice thing with the Dubro, or sorry, not the Dubro, but the Great Plains push rods is that they're threaded. I don't know if you can see that or not. But what I'll do is adjust these down a little bit, and then even if I don't get the length exactly right, I'll be able to adjust them in and out. So before we do those, we need to put our control horns on. Go ahead and get these guys out of their package. Like I said, in the package you get your two control horns with the back plates. These are not threaded, they're just the nylon that they'll start to thread into when you put this bolts in, and then you get the 4 bolts. So first thing we'll need to do is get those off the injection molding stuff. So I looked at my other S800 and I only have the 2 bottom holes, but I think I'm going to leave the 3rd one on this one. Just what I did is I made this arm a little bit shorter to get a little more torque out of it. So just in case it doesn't clear, I'm going to only cut this off right now to above the 3rd hole. You don't have to do this. Like I said, they're just a little bit big for what I need. These would be good for bigger airplanes even. So just cut them down just a little bit so that they aren't quite as crazy. You see it act as extra vertical stabilizers, really. Okay, so got those cleaned up just a little bit. So now we're going to put these guys here. What we want to do is make sure that we line up the holes right over the hinge line. So what I have done is now I've gone and I've bent these up and wiggling back and forth. You want to make sure that you got that broken free. I'm going to try this with just using the bent hinges, just like I just did. And we'll do a flight or two and see how it goes. But I'm likely going to try and cut it and actually do a taped hinge so that way we get a little bit more deflection. Because right now it's just a little bit stiff. So don't want any stiffness in while we're flying. So we'll, like I said, I'm going to leave it for now just to see. Try and fly it pretty much as stock as I can get it. And then we'll go from there. So what we'll have to do is line these up. So we'll take this control horn and just kind of put it along there. And figure out that we need that right about there. And then what I'm going to do $2mm hex. I'm just pushing it down. I think what I'm going to do to get this properly So the one thing you will notice is that this corner on down deflection is going to hit. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to cut that off. So it is still sticking out a little bit there, but I don't think that that much anyways. So part of the reason you'll see that I don't like this foam hinge and leaving it like that, and I actually am thinking I might cut it off before I go any further. Like that is fine, but when I go down, notice the outer part of the wing is not going down at all. And this is that more deflection than the inner. So I put the other control horn on, and while I was doing that, I decided that I am going to just go ahead and cut these Elevons off and do some Z-hinges. So I'll show how to do that with double-side tape. I'll put a link up here for the video that I'm going to use. Actually, I'll wait. Not going to be up here. When I get to that part, I'll put the link up there. It'll also be down in the description. But I wanted to show, I'm only going to show one, cutting it off, and then I'm going to do all the work and come back with it. But what I'm going to do is just take razor blade, and I'm going to try and keep the back edge of this, the 90 degree that's flush here. So I'm just going to run my blade along and try and keep it right along that wall. So I got a little bit of a ridge there. I'll just go back and make sure I clean it up. Actually, then what I'm also going to do is even found on my other S800 that the 90 degree wall is nice, or it works. You still get a fair amount of down deflection. However, if you actually bevel this just a little bit more, so what I'll do, actually I'll just go ahead and do it now, is if I just take the blade and just run it right down along. This is something I learned from doing scratch builds with foam board, flight test style. You just, with practice, I used to, maybe on a shorter length, I would hold a ruler maybe against it just to keep my inner side. You could put the ruler, but with it being a little long, it's not going to work, and I'm comfortable at this point doing an eyeballing it. So you could also put if you have a longer ruler, or you could mark and do a couple millimeters. I'd say maybe, I don't know what it did there, 5 millimeters or so. So you can mark it. You can put a mark 5 millimeters in, put a mark 5 millimeters, put a mark and draw a line, and that would use the line to guide yourself. But like I said, do what you got to do to get it straight. You want it. This isn't actually as big of a thing as long as you don't take out this top. So if you look here, this top line is still perfectly straight from this where the back edge was. So that's what is going to be our pivot point anyways. The other just allows it now, instead of only coming down 90 degrees, it can technically come down further. So it's just going to free up the movement of our surface. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the other one off, clean it up, and then come back and show you the Z-bend method. Scratch that. I'm going to go ahead and do it all. Put the video link up there now for the Z-bend method. So if you want to know how to do it, go there. But I'm not going to take up all the time doing that. So click this link down below, description, whatever, how to do a Z-hinge with double-sided tape. And then I'll tape over that. So I'll come back with those hinges on, and then we'll do the push rods. Got those hinges, and you can see now they're taped, and they are much more agile, I guess you could say. So also now the clearance, like I said, is better with that on there. So they should be nice and good to go. So one thing I'm going to do now, I took these and I twisted both of them so there's a little bit of threads out this way so I can adjust it in and out. Obviously I've got plenty if I needed to go down this way, but what we need to do is get them to the right length or figure out where we need to make our Z-bend. So try and actually go for the second hole. And what we want to do is just pretty much get this right where it's sitting flat, figure out where that's at. I'm going to mark it with a Sharpie. That's pretty much where we want that one. That's where we want that one. So now what you could do, if you don't have a pair of Z-bend pliers, so these, you can see when I bend the wire, they'll actually bend the perfect little Z that we need into it. Already got this guy cut, so we'll do this one first. So I'm going to put it right between the two. And we'll bend it. And then what I'll do is cut some of this extra off. Now the other problem we're going to have is that these holes obviously are not the right size for this, so we got to make those larger. So we'll just put that there for now. We'll take this guy, line it up just in between the dots there. Hopefully that's a little better for you. And bend it. Again, we'll cut that off. Just past. If you have if you cut it off too long, it'll hit that inner wall. So what I'll do now, I've got a pack of these little tiny drill bits, and basically just need to find the one that is as close to exactly the same size as we can. It's like this one might. We're going to do this guy. Okay, I just went looking real quick for my drill, and it's not in my garage. It's out in my shed, or my workshop. It's my woodworking shop. So what I'm going to do is manually do this, and I want to go for that outer hole. So you could try and just do it by hand. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, because I'm kind of holding.
2 very boring minutes later.
And then we're through. So now I'll take this guy, and I want to go, the way I set it up, I have from the outside. So I want to go through there, and that's nice and snug. And we'll go back to this. And I'm not going to clamp it down just yet. These guys, so you just pop it together. But we'll do this other one. Oh. Before you glue these in, which we'll do here in a minute, before you glue these in, make sure you put the screw back in. And actually, I suggest putting a dab of Loctite. Okay, and then we're through. You want to go from the outside in. You don't want to get Loctite on, you want to try and avoid getting on the plastic too much. Put it on the threads of the screw before putting it in. Loctite is not good for screw or plastic. I just found that out recently. It will make it brittle and break. Okay, so we now have our control horns set up. Last part we need to do here is get our servos glued in. So I think my hot glue gun is hot. I'm just going to go ahead and put a liberal dab in underneath. I am using hot glue because it holds well, but also because if I do need, obviously hot glue is hot, but if you're used to it or whatever, if you actually lick your finger or wet it with water or something, it'll make the hot glue not stick and you can smooth it out. Just do that. Okay, so our servos are in. So last thing we're going to do is go ahead And power up. So now if you already had it built and you were doing your iNav setup, you could also use this to check your servo mixers. But we'll get your right, stick right, right goes up, stick left, left goes up, pull back, they both go up, push forward, they both go down. So we're all good. I am noticing there's not a ton of deflection in these. I have to go check the rates again that we have in there. But also that's just, we'll see how it goes. It should be enough. That should turn rather well. So last video we made sure all our electronics are working. Receiver's still in there, just have the antennas tucked down. I just got to pop them back up through. I'm not sure if I will try and go back and redo my paint job before maiden, or if I'll glue the wingtips on and do the maiden before that. We'll see next part. So hopefully part 5 actually might just be maiden. Go out and see how she does. So again, hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, any questions below. Check the description for any links. Anything I talked about, I'll make sure to put links down below. And I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.